Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha, this is Jeeves here. Your old composer here, not decomposing right now, but trying to understand something a little better than this old guy does in an old way that I remember in recording drums. I just got through doing what's it, Infant Annihilator, what a name, drum cam, and got a lot of unique comments on that. Obviously, I'm going to say that 90% of the comments that I got on there that are in regards to the recording process or the drumming are musicians. And of course, to the pure listener, sometimes the mystique of the recording process doesn't have to necessarily be unveiled. So in that video, I remember saying, God, how are they keeping the velocity as an engineer? How do you keep the velocity so straight? And a lot of people were saying the word triggered. Now, at first I was going triggered. And when I first heard the word triggered, I thought, oh, you mean like those roll-in drum pads that, you hit a pad, but it would trigger the sound. So I'm thinking that's what you guys are talking about as triggered, perhaps. Which would be, which is one thing. Another one says, there are a few that says it's sped up. There are a few that said that that drummer doesn't play that song live, or when they do play it live, it may not be as precise as what we saw here. There's a lot of different critiquing that was going on there. There's people who are saying I'm sorry, it was a kid to me, pure genius. I will say, once again, I don't want to demystify too much of the process just for the pure listener. This channel's pure listener more than it is musicians. In my experience as an older engineer from the 70s and the 80s and stuff, the drummer was the one musician that never got punched in. I never and I got to clarify this, in the sessions that I either second engineered or engineered, I never saw a drummer get punched in. Like if the band's playing together, usually the drummer's the one that goes in, does the job and leaves, and then musicians will do overdubs or fix sections and stuff like that. I think we're all very aware that a very high percentage of everything we hear is punch-ins, punching in a phrase, or even if the musicians are fantastic and they could play it all the way through, but they might record it 5, 6, 7, 8 times because maybe they didn't hit the bend they wanted to there, or the whammy bar, or they didn't get the harmonics that they want out of it and stuff like that. I'm not talking about punching in every note. As far as this drummer is concerned, I personally, whether that is the definition of triggering, you guys help me with that. Whether he's able to play that exactly the same live or not, there's no two ways about it. That drummer's technique and everything that I saw there was absolutely just insanely phenomenal. Insanely phenomenal. Is that a word or a phrase? That sometimes, if there are little manipulations that actually happen, in most cases, especially rock and metal, I think I might be opening up a can of worms here, is pretty authentic, especially in the tech death or anything that's extremely techy. I know that when I first listened to Meshuggah, at first I was like, no, wait, how can that not be? And then people were commenting, going, dude, there is a click track when they're live or something. Some of that stuff to me, and I understand it technically as an engineer, as a producer, as a composer, and the whole thing. Just the experience of what I'm hearing, I don't necessarily want to dilute it with wondering how they did it. And I think the people who may think along those lines are the musicians and other engineers that are out there, and vocalists or whatever, going, how did they do that? Is that possible? Could they have added or done something else? But when it comes to this video, I think and I'm not questioning, this is not me questioning what he's doing, but this is me about more like learning about that, what that triggering is. Even if the track did use the triggered sounds, except the cymbals are live, but if they use the triggered sounds, I don't know. If in fact that's the case, um, what I saw is still years of woodshedding and practicing, and even if this was a prepped music videos, because there's a lot of playthroughs that happen that I've watched that are playthroughs of guitar players and piano players and stuff like that, and I'm watching the video and I'm like, yeah, that vibrato didn't match what the finger did there. Sometimes playthroughs may not be playthroughs as we may know it. I think that's why a lot of people will put they'll hit record and you can see the bar going across, as it's recording as they play. Anyhow, I kind of drifted a little bit from beyond the drum thing. So as far as the drum trigger aspect of it, personally, as a musician, as a producer, as an engineer, however we manipulate our sound to get it to make it to sound the best for the recording, as long as you're as authentic as possible, I don't have a problem with it. Guitar players, you guys, all guitar players use, sorry, I had to be careful what I say there. Guitar players and bass players use sometimes things to help us with the signal. Compression is a very powerful tool to help guitar players and bass players get a very consistent, clean sound in the recording process. Okay, I'm not saying everybody uses it. I'm not saying everybody doesn't play through their song all the way once across. I want to make sure I got my ass covered on that one. But even guitar players and bass players will use compression to make sure that their signal either hits and maxes out at a certain point and gets kind of rolled and flattened out, or it is also used to help bring the signal to the top. So it's a very unique conversation that I watched go on that video. And as far as the process of creating music and recording, I think the real work also happens after the song is recorded, because then the musicians also, they're going to go out and play that in most cases, so, and they want to sound as close as possible. Anyhow, this was just like a Saturday morning hot cup of coffee. It's kind of partly cloudy and kind of wonky out there, but I'm going to go exercise my arm. Look at this. Hey, look at that. Rotator cuff recovery, getting there. I can do little circles there. I swam this week. Life is good. Anyhow, I just thought I'd put this out there. You guys have a killer weekend. Aloha.